All right. Hey guys, I hope everyone's doing well. This is Rudy. Hey, as I was taking a shower tonight and going about my activities, an acronym came to me that helps me remember various points about Islam that are important. And I thought I would share that acronym with you guys, and I'll put it in the information bar. Basically, the acronym is Satan's, S-A-T-A-N-S, Bowel Movement, B-M, J-J-J. And that's all you got to remember. I find that acronyms help me remember key concepts. And so if I can just remember the acronym, later on when I'm in a discussion, I'll remember the various points that I need to remember to bring up in the conversation. But this acronym is Satan's Bowel Movement, J-J-J. And that's all you need to know when you think of Islam. And I want to go through it. I'll go through it very, very quickly. And, you guys can use this acronym as well when you're in a discussion with your friends and when you're talking about Islam. One thing I want to point out right from the beginning is that the Quran was written by supposedly Muhammad, who was being given what to write by Gabriel. But it wasn't Gabriel, it was actually Satan. Gabriel was supposed to be the angel that gave Muhammad what to write. But it was actually Satan, and so that makes this acronym even easier to remember. Satan's Bowel Movement, JJJ. And another thing to remember is that the Quran is written by one man over one lifetime and is full of lies and deceit. And the Bible is written by over 40 authors. It's 66 different books, and it's written over a period of about 1,600 years. So, and the consistency among all the authors is amazing. It's amazing the consistency over the timeline. And so there's no comparison when you compare the Bible to the Quran. But let's get to the acronym, because that's the point of the video, and I want to make it as quick as possible. So Satan's Bowel Movement, JJJ. S, Sharia Law. Okay, Islam is more than just a religion. It's a political and a societal system. And so Google the phrase Sharia law in America, and they want more than you just to worship Islam and worship Muhammad and use Muhammad as an ideal man, right? And they want you more than just to believe in the God of Allah. They want to inflict Sharia law upon society. That's their goal. And so it's very important to be aware of Sharia law and how bad it is, and you can research that on your own. The next one is Aisha, A-I-S-H-A, and Aisha was a bride, a wife of Muhammad. I think he was 53 years old when he was betrothed to a 6-year-old, and he screwed her at 9 years old. Now, Muslims do not argue that fact. They will admit, yeah, that's true because it's in the Quran. But they'll just say times were different back then. And my reply to that is, I don't care if you go back 2,000 years, 5,000 years ago, or 2,000 years in the future, a 53-year-old screwing a 9-year-old is wrong. It's called pedophile. And so S is Sharia law, A is Aisha, right? You can research this stuff on your own. I'm not telling you anything that's not true. T is Taqiyya, T-A-Q-I-Y-Y-A, or something like that. And Taqiyya is the concept in Islam that it's okay to lie to an infidel if it furthers the cause of Islam. And see, Christianity is nothing like that. Christianity is you have to tell the truth even if it makes you look bad. And so Christianity is all about the truth. Jesus said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. Christianity promotes telling the truth. It's actually part of the 10 Commandments. You know, thou shalt not lie. So, but the Quran has a concept called the Taqiyya, which means it's okay to be deceptive and it's okay to lie if you're doing it to an infidel and it furthers the cause of Islam, which is exactly what Obama is doing to us, right? He's implementing Taqiyya on us. So we have Sharia law, Aisha, we have Taqiyya, and then we have the second A in Satan, which is abrogation. Abrogation is when the Quran was written, some of the earlier verses that Muhammad wrote down were very peaceful and they sound very good. But as Muhammad got older and older, he got more and more violent. And so the older verses seem to conflict with the earlier verses. And so the concept of abrogation is that Muhammad said if any of the verses conflict in the Quran, just go with the later verses, which are the more violent verses. And so usually when a Muslim person wants to tell you of the wonderful news of the Quran, they always quote the peaceful verses, but they don't tell you anything about the conflicting verses that are later on in the Quran, and they don't tell you about the concept of abrogation. So we've got Sharia Law, Aisha, Taqiyya, Abrogation, and then we have N, no rights for women. Now I tried to come up with a good N word for no rights for women, but I just can't. I can't come up with a really good one, so I'm just going to have to remember that. But women don't have any dang rights, man. They have a hard time getting a driver's license. They got to cover themselves up. You know, they've been trained, I guess, in the Islamic world to like that. So you're probably going to have a hard time, you know, getting an Islamic woman to want to walk around in a bikini. And I don't want her to walk around in a bikini either. And I don't want to put sin upon a woman, but they think of women differently than you and I. And you know, they don't respect women as, you know, an equal partner. Now, I do believe that a man's job as a patriarch in a family is to lead the family. But I don't take it to the point that an Islamic person does, where he believes he can have multiple wives and he can, you know, the proper way to beat your wife, the proper way to, you know, dress your wife. And she has to be very, very subservient to the man in Islam. And so that's just a fact. So let's go over the word Satan again. We have Sharia Law, Aisha, the pedophile of Muhammad. We have T, Taqiyya. It's okay for Islam to be deceptive to infidels. We have A for abrogation. The violent verses override the peaceful verses. And we have no rights for women. Okay, now let's do the BM for bowel movement. We got the beheadings. Beheading is very... seems to be a very big thing in Islam. Do you remember Nick Berg and Daniel Pearl, right? Beheadings is a big thing in Islam. Just, you know, it's written all throughout the Quran. Example after example of beheading. The M, bowel movement, is Mecca and the Vagina Blackstone. Now I'm going to put a video link in the information bar. It's 2 parts. I suggest you watch both parts. And when they do their Hajj thing and walk around that black building, there's what's called the black stone. And it's shaped like a woman's vagina. You guys think I'm making this up, but you need to go watch the 2-part video. And it's a carryover from the pagan worship, sexual pagan idolatry. And it's no joke, man. When you see those people walking around the Hajj, they're wearing a white robe, but they're not allowed to wear any underwear. Right? I promise you, I've been told this by a Muslim. And not only that, but it reinforces it in that video. And so they're not allowed to wear any underwear, so they're just wearing a sheet and they got nothing underneath it. And that applies to both the men and the women. And they walk around that thing 7 times. And they kiss that black stone. And I'm telling you, when you look at a picture of it, it's shaped like a woman's vagina. Now, you guys think I'm lying, but go watch that video and keep in mind that all those people, none of them are wearing any underwear. And it's a carryover from the pagan, sexual, pagan worship that was going on before Muhammad took over that area. Now, you know, you need to do your history. You think I'm joking, but I'm not joking. So let's go over Satan bowel movement again. We got Sharia Law, Aisha, Taqiyya, Abrogation, no rights for women. We got the beheadings. Remember Nick Berg and Daniel Pearl. We got Mecca and the Vagina Blackstone, and you know, all this Ramadan thing where they fast and they can't put anything in their mouth. They can't even swallow their own spit. They can't brush their teeth during the day and all that stuff. And then you got your 3 J's. Okay, you got your 3 J's, and I'll go through those quickly as well. You got jihad. Every Muslim in the Arabic countries are taught to commit jihad upon war upon infidels, and it's taught in the madrassas. Now, I could go into an Israeli conversation and teach you that, and I'll tell you that the Israeli Hebrew schools teach them also to hate Christians. But let's forget that right now, and let's just say that Muslim schools teach young children to commit jihad on infidels. Okay, it's a part of their DNA. It's, you know, jihad is just what they're taught, and it's considered a higher form of worship for Allah for a Muslim to commit jihad. And then you got the Jizya tax, okay? And I've made an earlier video about that, but you need to look up Jizya tax and how that's related to Dhimmitude, and how Muslims try to put non-Muslims in a unadvantageous position by putting a tax on them that's called the Jizya tax, and it's used as a coercion method to get them to convert to Islam. So the Jizya tax, and it's also related to Dhimmitude. And then the last thing, which is the most important, and you can forget everything else I said, is the most important, is they don't believe Jesus is the Messiah. They don't believe Jesus is the Christ. They will tell you that Jesus is a great prophet. See what's very unusual, if you're around a devout Muslim and somebody starts trash talking Jesus, they will start defending him, and they will say that he has a virgin birth, he did miracles, Jesus was a great prophet, but they will deny that he was crucified and resurrected. They will deny that Jesus is Lord. They will deny the divinity of Jesus Christ. You see how Satan takes and copies Christianity and then twists it just enough to take all the power away? So let's go through those again. You got Satan's Bowel movement, JJJ. Satan, BM, JJJ. You got Sharia Law. You got Aisha, the pedophile, Muhammed. You got T for Taqiyya, which means it's okay for them to be deceptive and lie to an infidel. You got A for abrogation, which means the more violent verses override the non-violent verses. You got N for no rights for women in Islam. And then you have B, the beheadings that are normal and seem to be consistent within the Islamic world. Daniel Pearl and Nick Berg are examples. And then you have M, the Mecca and the Vagina Blackstone. Go watch those two-part videos because you ain't going to believe me, right? You need to watch the videos, and I'm telling you, when they walk around that Mecca thing, the Hajj, they're not wearing any underwear. And that's true. It's the truth. You can ask a devout Muslim who's done it, and he'll tell you if he's honest with you. And then you have Jihad, and how Jihad is part of the DNA, and they teach it in the Madrassas of the Islamic schools. And then you have Jizya and the Dhimmitude, and how Muslims try to take over a society by implementing Jizya tax on infidels and implement Dhimmitude, okay? And then you have the one that's most important, and you can forget all the rest, and it's your litmus test for everything. When you're talking to anybody, if they don't believe Jesus is Lord, and they don't believe Jesus is the Messiah, whether they're Jew, or whether they're Islam, or whether they're Scientologist, you can apply that to anybody. If they don't believe Jesus is Lord, that's the only thing you got to know. So I've given you an acronym, Satan's BM, Satan's Bowel Movement, JJJ. But really the only thing you got to remember is the last J. Do they believe Jesus is Lord? Do they believe in the Holy Bible? Do they believe that Jesus is the way, the truth, and the life? No man cometh unto the Father except by Jesus. Jesus was either Lord, he was liar, or he was lunatic, right? He's one of those three. And I know for a fact that he's Lord. But ultimately, you have to make that decision. And we need to be aware of what Islam is all about and what's being pushed upon our society. Now, I've been reading. I'm up to about 125 pages with this Anders Breivik guy. And, it's like standing next to a guy who says a lot of truth, but then he goes and murders a bunch of people. And it's almost like they want to poison the truth by making some guy like go kill all these people and have him associated with a lot of truthful stuff. I haven't read all 1,500 pages. It's 1,500 freaking pages, and it's 3 books. It's 3 different books, and he copied and pasted a lot of it. But the deal is that a lot of it that I've read so far, and I've gone through the table of contents, is very truthful. But see, they'll try to poison the truth by getting a crazy man who's murdered a lot of people, and it's like Charles Manson says to eat your broccoli, right? The eat your broccoli part is a good thing, right? Everybody should eat their broccoli and eat their vegetables and, watch what we eat, right? But the fact that Charlie Manson said it makes everybody that, maybe we shouldn't eat the broccoli. Charlie Manson said it. Well, the same thing with this Anders Breivik. Anders Breivik puts a lot of truth in his manifesto, what I've read so far, but he's a murdering, rampaging psychopath. And they're going to try to poison the truth. And I don't know if he was set up. I don't know what the deal is. But there's something very, very suspicious about his manifesto being, the way that it is and trying to paint Christianity in a bad light. And I don't even think he was a Christian. That's all I got to say. Hopefully it'll give you something to think about. God bless every one of you and have a good night.